For more on that and what Trump's first 100 days back in office might look like, let's bring in Tennessee Republican Congressman Tim Burchett, who sits on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. He's also on the Oversight and Foreign Affairs Committees. Busy congressman. So tell us, Congressman, first of all, Republicans have the trifecta, won the House, won the Senate, won the Oval Office. But you've got a very narrow majority on the House side. Are you going to be able to ensure that everybody gets on board with what the new president wants?
Yes, sir, we are. I'm firmly convinced of that, and Speaker Johnson will deliver that. I think the Congress understands the agenda of President Trump, and we understand the agenda of America, and they're firmly behind President Trump. And I would say it'd be very risky politically and otherwise to step out from that.
There's been talk of the Trump administration trying to claw back some of the money that's been allocated for some of the programs that were passed under the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. Do you think that's likely?
Yes, sir. If you just look at our infrastructure bill that was passed, 85% of that bill was not what you would consider traditional infrastructure. As a matter of fact, if we'd have spent all that money on roads, bridges, and things like that, we could have fixed every road and bridge in the country. But yet the bill that was passed was something we could probably all live with, hold our nose maybe, and go with. But then it was sent to the Speaker's office with the help of some of her lobbyist friends, and they rewrote that entire bill. Then it was delivered to the House floor. We had just a couple of hours to read it before it was passed, a multi-billion-dollar package boondoggle, really, of just woke programs. Nothing, like I said, 85% of it had nothing to do with what we would consider infrastructure, and yet it passed overwhelmingly, of course, with Democrat support. And I think the President Trump of anybody could cut that thing up and maybe send some of that money back to the states where it needs to be to handle their infrastructure problems, because what was delivered to the American people was not what we were promised.
That Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act was a $568 billion bill, or $568 billion of it has been announced as being allocated, but that's actually less than half of the bill, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's so much more involved with that, and the American public was not told the truth. Again, it was just payoff to liberal woke policies that they were getting out to, and some of it wasn't even in this country. So I think when the American public is exposed just to the boondoggle that it was, I think they'll agree with the president that I would say let him get at it. I think that would be a good thing for the DOGE committee to be, and Marjorie Taylor Greene to dissect.
I was going to say the Department of Government Efficiency could take a look at some of that unspent money, you think, and perhaps bring it back?
I would hope so. Well, I mean, bring it back. It's vapor. We're printing money. We're borrowing money from our great grandchildren right now. Every 100 days, we add $1 trillion to the debt, and nobody has a plan to pay it back. I think this would at least stop some of that debt being piled on.
One of the things that Joe Biden did on his first day in office basically was to cancel the Keystone pipeline. There is talk that incoming President Trump might revive that. Do you think that's possible or likely?
Well, the critics and the left wing say no, so that tells me President Trump can do it. As you know, Obama killed it. Trump brought it back. It was something like 60,000 jobs, multi-billion-dollar investment into our communities, into people's pocketbooks, frankly, and yet they killed it. And they're supposed to be the party of the working people, and as it turned out, they're not. Donald Trump is the party of the working people, because that's why they overwhelmingly voted for him. And two, it just furthered their agenda of these electric vehicles. Talk to car dealers. They're hard to get rid of. They're hard to work on. Talk to firefighters who have dealt with these electric vehicles that have been caught on fire. But they become a toxic waste dump. And the development of these batteries, which I hope we can get to some kind of scientific conclusion on it, but they're using slave labor. They're heavily involved in carcinogens. The kids that are mining these things are waist deep in this stuff, and it's just wrong. And we need to come to a better conclusion of this thing. And cramming cutting off oil supplies and driving the prices up unnaturally is not the answer. And that is consistently what the left has tried to do to push their electric agenda.
You're going to have a lot to do come the new Congress. Tennessee Republican Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you.
Thank you, brother.